So we ask, how can we better tell what is real from what is false? And how can our institutions function in an environment where our perception of truth is doubted or debated every single day? In many ways, the way to look at information management would be both the supply of information, whether that's debated or doubted, as well as the demand for information. I notice this crowd is very young. And I feel very old when I look at the students, especially in this part of the audience. But let me just remind you, getting old, there's no practice in getting old, right? Mayor Joy, I mean, your father is 86, right? 86. So the first question must be, how does one know the truth? Especially when it's coming from the internet, especially from ChatGPT. I had a meeting with Amdocs, the biggest and leading IT company in Israel, listed in New York Stock Exchange, and one of the best in the world. And one of the things that we talked about was ChatGPT. If students were to rely on their thesis or term papers from ChatGPT, how do you know that what you are writing about reflects the truth? In our days, we have to go to the library to check on books, read books. And our principal source of information is the product of scholarly work, the Encyclopedia Britannica. I don't know whether that still exists, actually, in libraries. But at least we rely on that. Now, I think they said that Gen AI now is very well adopted by ChatGPT. So they do, Gen AI is able to improve its sources of information, and they do provide the list of sources of the thesis or term paper that you're producing. So you could cross-check, and I think students should cross-check the kind of information they input into their work. It is easy enough to refuse the obvious untruths. The claim, for example, that the ocean is green, like LaSalle, or that Globe has the best network in the Philippines. Joke only. But deception these days rarely wear its masks plainly. My philosophy professor at the Ateneo, Father Farios, S.J., gave our class an example of how truth can be difficult to define or discern. He said, say you're driving on one of our ghost provincial roads on a hot sunny day, and you see ahead of you a pool of shimmering water. What do you call that? Mirage. The water does not really exist, but your experience of seeing it is, as such, real. So that story describes our contemporary condition. We are surrounded by illusions that appeal not to reason, but to our desires. We see what we want to see, and often what we most desire is what betrays us. Think of those emails from a Nigerian prince promising loans or riches. The text message that says you won a raffle, you never join. Or the scantily clad woman who says she's looking for a successful older man. Our group is built on businesses that connect Filipinos with electricity, with clean water, roads, and most certainly communication, together with the relevant infrastructure or network precisely to facilitate those connections. But what good is infrastructure if the information and data traveling across them are dirty, doubtful, or simply untrue, when the very digital air we breathe is poisoned with disinformation and untruths? Through Think Amuna, we call on our people to think before they click, to question before they share, to ask not only about the content they encounter, but also their own biases. Is this true, or do I just wish it to be true? And I'd like to emphasize when we say Think Amuna, we're not just about encouraging people to think more important than that. We're asking them to stop for a while, hesitate and doubt. As the great philosopher René Descartes once said, I think Muna, therefore I am. Of course, no one organization can guard or determine what truth is. Once, our duty was to check our own facts and present the news as we see them. Now we find ourselves checking the facts of others, vloggers, provocateurs, rage baiters, correcting falsehoods to no end. Those in media may sometimes feel like Sisyphus, or his more contemporary incarnation, our very able and active Secretary Vince Dizon. On the other side of the communication process, our duty is to decide whom exactly we can trust. This is the greatest argument why we need professional, reliable, credible, courageous, and independent journalists and news organizations. Not to offer something perfect or never get it wrong, but something whose mission it is to try to do it right and to be accountable when sometimes they're not. The BBC and Financial Times rank up there in credibility, but why does it feel safe to believe them? Apart from their long history of veritas, truth for them is a practice. It is not found, it is earned. If we pursue truth consistently, with care and with excellence, we build trust for ourselves and confidence amongst our people. I think Mayor Sandoval said this, alluded to it anyway earlier. Think Amuna's mission, therefore, is to safeguard the truth. But truth is too immense, too vital to be contained within the walls of any single organization. So this requires a unified national mobilization movement. First, we need the government to champion MIL as a core policy initiative, integrating it into national security, education, and technology strategies. Second, we need the business sector, not just media companies, but all companies, to integrate MIL into their corporate social responsibility frameworks. Invest in training, invest in tools, and create workplaces where employees are trained to man the ramparts of truth and protect them from what's false and fake, to read beyond the headlines, to check before they share or forward. The strength of our democracy, the stability of our economy, and future prosperity of our nation hinge on the integrity of our information space. Because when truth falters from attacks, confidence wavers, and when confidence collapses, eventually, so does our economy. And finally, third, we must address the demand side, you guys, not just the supply side of information. In this part, the academia shapes students who can question bravely and think carefully, and tell our people that freedom of expression carries with it the obligation to think clearly, critically, and courageously. To conclude, we often speak of nation building in terms of bridges, towers, fiber, power plants, steel, and iron. But the truest foundation of a democracy is neither one of those. It is truth. A people misled cannot move forward, but a people informed cannot be defeated. Thus, my hope is that we all leave this hall resolved this afternoon. Maraming bumabaluktos sa katotohanan, pero mas madami tayong mas gusto ang katotohanan. Let us now grow weary of the work of discernment, and in the Lord's words, let us go forth and multiply. Let us invite more Filipinos into this alliance of truth seekers. We should not yield space to falsehood. We should not let noise drown out reason. We should not let lies become the language of our nation or any part of our government. I'm not referencing anybody specifically. We should teach each other. We should learn from one another, and we will prevail indeed. So again, think Amuna. Think first, speak through, and that is how we build our new future.